This is another one of those stories without video, but it's unbelievably important, so I thought we would take a look at it. Hi, this is Colin Flaherty. I'm the author of Don't Make the Black Kids Angry. Here we talk about black mob violence, black on white crime, and the greatest hoax of our generation, the lie of black victimization. So let's go out to Lorain, Ohio, which I believe is a suburb of Cleveland. Here we have an episode of a bunch of black people shooting, killing, fighting with each other. Then the cops roll up. Then they turn on the cops in a very nasty fashion. Lots of unusual details about that in this story. I got an email this morning from a cop. I can't even say where, because if I say where, it'll kind of identify who he is. He responded to a triple shooting in one of these big apartment complexes in a huge city. 3 a.m. Same deal. The cops were there investigating a murder, 3 murders, and everybody started to turn on the cops. Got very, very heated, very nasty, and it almost got violent, but it kind of didn't. So let's look at this story and know that the importance of this story is that this is happening now in cities all over the country. So let's pick up the story. Early Sunday morning, large-scale black mob violence. Cops respond, quote, "A near attack on an officer has left police gravely concerned about how people interact with police who are performing their duties. They have contacted community leaders and plan a news conference to discuss the issue." They're going to discuss it. So let's talk a little bit more what happened. They saw this guy, told him to stop. He tried to run into another house. The officer said he was going to use a stun gun. The perp allowed himself to be handcuffed. Then the perp's girlfriend, Shantia Sims, came out, started to push the officer away from her boyfriend. Then a bunch of other black people surrounded the cop, who pushed Sims down and away from him. And then the cop pulled his firearm for protection, ordering the crowd back. This is when it got nasty. So he dispersed the crowd, and they went and got a whole bunch of more black people. As this newly reinforced mob closed in on the officer, someone in the group instructed the other members of the group to charge him. The officer pointed his firearm at the group and held them at bay until assisting officer arrived and dispersed the crowd. Lots of other argy-bargy, people getting charged. Wow. Here's a picture of the 4 happy warriors, not counting the 10, 15, 20 or more extra black people who were threatening, taunting, harassing the cops, but were not charged with anything. This may be a cliche to say this by now, but I'm one of those people who likes that George Orwell saying that if the only reason that you and I can sleep soundly in our beds is because of the willingness of rough people to do violence in the night, I think that's pretty close to it. When I look at these cops that we send into these high crime areas, these urban areas. Oh, now you guys have me talking in euphemisms. I look at these cops we send into black neighborhoods and are greeted with violence, hostility, and harassment constantly. And I look at them as somebody kind of like they are there in my behalf. We hired them to do that. You know why? Because you and I won't do it, couldn't do it. Now all of a sudden, they're the villains. There are hundreds of cities in this country where the central organizing feature of the town is tolerance for crime, excusing crime, attributing crime to white racism. And so when you do that, all of a sudden the criminal is the victim. And the cops become the criminals, as Mick Jagger pointed out those many years ago. I don't see how this ends well. That's why I wrote Don't Make the Black Kids Angry. There's a ton of cop stuff in there. I'm just absolutely convinced nobody knows the level of hostility and violence and harassment, racial hostility, black on white, directed at cops. So get it, read it, pass it around, let me know what you think of it. This is Colin Flaherty. Talk to you next time.